For Ursula von der Leyen's upcoming birthday session, I would genuinely like to express my wish for her to gracefully leave the European Commission and truly spend a little much-needed free time. I think she needs to have some time to travel. I know that she has many children and
The Hamas terror attack on Israel is marking its second anniversary. It was a brutal attack on Jewish men and women, the worst since the Holocaust. And we are also seeing that in Europe, including in the country I come from, Germany, anti-Semitism is once again becoming more pronounced. And I want to make it absolutely clear that for us, as the left here in the European Parliament, the fight against anti-Semitism has always been part of our political DNA. It must never be tolerated, and accordingly, we will always categorically reject any calls for the destruction of Israel or the glorification of anti-Semitic violence. However, we also see that, at the same time, the suffering of the people in the Gaza Strip has become unbearable. The war that has been raging for 2 years now primarily affects the civilian population in Gaza, and for a long time, the European Union merely stood by, remained silent, and watch the horror unfolding there without taking a stand. It must finally take an active role for peace in the region, for justice, and also for humanity, instead of practicing double standards and overlooking or downplaying the war crimes that are deliberately committed there every day. It is our duty not only to... We have witnessed that last week the government of Viktor Orban extended the state of emergency in Hungary, obviously with the aim of prolonging this state of emergency beyond the election date and thus, of course, also influencing the elections politically. We see that recently the government of Viktor Orban has classified anti-fascist engagement as criminal activity, as criminal. I want to state explicitly that this is a blatant, truly aggressive attack by this government on anti-fascists, but also on democracy as a whole. And why? Because democracy is the opposite of authoritarian rule, and therefore democracy is inherently anti-fascist. And as the European Parliament, we have repeatedly stated in our resolutions that the rule of law in Hungary does not exist.
More. Ursula von der Leyen must go. She must go because she is represented by the genocide in Gaza, because she caused their inaction. The European Commission has imposed 19 sanctions against Russia and has never imposed one against the genocidal government of Benjamin Netanyahu. The European Commission has denied the European Union access to the US-US treaty. And the European Union, with a completely asymmetrical agreement that sets a 15% tariff on European products entering the American market without any reciprocity. The European Commission, which relies on the free trade agreement with Mercosur, which undermined our agriculture, our health and our planet. This motion of censure is brought forward by our group on the left. It is nothing more and nothing less than the voice of European citizens, the voice of the citizens who elected us, but it goes even further, as Europeans are calling for the departure of Ursula von der Leyen and her Commission, and some are even declaring that they do not trust her to defend European economic interests. The second topic I wanted to address is the political situation in France, because it has repercussions across Europe. Yesterday, France entered a new phase of its regime crisis. The Prime Minister, Sébastien Lecornu, broke 2 records at once. The longer one taking 26 days to form a government, but also the shorter one lasting less than 24 hours before it collapsed. I believe that's a record in Europe, and I want to state it quite bluntly here from the European Parliament. This is a symptom of a deep crisis that is diminishing France's voice on the European stage. And I want to point out, for example, that there are ministers and envoys who will be participating in all European proposals and who therefore have no legitimacy for this, nor any power either. And this power vacuum, to be completely honest, is capable of causing France to lose all credibility in Europe, and with it, its influence on European decisions. And in the face of this political crisis, there is a truth that is becoming clear. The problem lies in the Élysée. The problem is with Emmanuel Macron himself. Who must go? We have passed a motion of censure to this effect in France, but what is certain is that he must step down or not, if we want to find a true voice for France that matters in Europe. Last topic, the Trump plan. Trump for Gaza. Here as well, I won't beat around the bush. The Trump plan for Gaza is in reality not a peace plan, but a neo-colonial plan. As I speak to you, negotiations are taking place in Egypt. And of course, I hope they achieve as much as possible, especially to enable the release of the Israeli hostages, which we are thinking about today on October 7th. A release of Palestinian political prisoners as well, but there is something that is glaringly obvious. How flawed is this plan? Flawed because it has no timetable for the withdrawal of the Israeli army. So it opens the way to a perpetual occupation of the Gaza territory by Israel. But this plan is also neo-colonial, as I said, because it imposes the will of the Palestinians under the duo of Donald Trump and Tony Blair. It's as if the Palestinians are not allowed to decide for themselves, and we can clearly see the outcome of all this. In the end, it is the Palestinian citizens who will pay the price, because they are not given the opportunity to decide for themselves. And even if a blank check is given to Benjamin Netanyahu, at least to judge on the surface, I quote, to finish the job in a way that continues the genocide, you get the idea. I'm quite pessimistic about this Trump plan, thinking that Donald Trump is a bit more concerned with the Nobel Prize for Freedom than he is with trying to pay off Netanyahu. And it's hard to believe in a governmental coalition. For Ursula von der Leyen's upcoming birthday session, I would genuinely like to express my wish for her to gracefully leave the European Commission and truly spend a little much-needed free time. I think she needs to have some time to travel. I know that she has many children and
small children. I wish her all the best, and of course that she can enjoy her retirement surrounded by her loved ones. It's about time, as her political record shows.